Okay, we are live. So welcome everybody to the March 25th meeting of the Northwell Personnel Board. My name is Becca Meekins. I'm the Assistant Town Administrator. To start, I'm just going to read a brief introduction about our ability to have this meeting remotely. So, pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting will be conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance by members of the public will be permitted. This meeting will be live streamed, but will have no option for public participation. To view or listen only, please visit the live stream link for YouTube available on our agenda posted on the town's website. Okay. So Virginia, I'm going to hand it over to you if you want to do just a roll call.
Good. Thank you very much. We'll start. Gigi.
Okay.
Present. Lisa.
Present. Present.
Marsha.
Present.
Chuck.
Here.
Okay, and I'd like to introduce Becca, because Becca is new to us. She's the well, she's not new anymore, but she's been a while, but she replaced Kim as the assistant town director. And then Jason is the new, he's not really new, it's probably about a year now, right, Jason? He's the finance director.
Yeah, it's been about 2 years. So
is it 2 years? It's been a while.
Yeah,
Time flies. We're having fun.
Yeah, time has really flown by fast.
Yes. Well, good. And Julie, Becca, I'll need you to introduce her.
Sure. So Julie Brownlee is also with us. She's the principal assessor. She's also not new to the town, but new to the position, certainly. And she's been fantastic so far. So she'll be able to give you guys just any background information you're looking for about the assessor's office. So thanks for being with us tonight, Julie. Appreciate it.
Super. Thank you. Nice to meet you, Julie. I'd like to thank the committee. It's been a long time since we've been together. And I want to thank Lisa and Chuck for hanging in with us for such a long period of time, and to welcome the two new members. This committee doesn't always meet. We more or less meet when there's a need for us to meet. And so there's a reorganization, and in preparation for the town meeting, which is now scheduled for Saturday, May 1st. It's going to be outdoors again this year. So we're all welcome to come, but we need to do some work in preparation for that meeting, hence the meeting tonight. And there is another topic that we will need to cover, and would like to schedule, Becca, a meeting, follow-up meeting to this meeting, a little later. So anyway, so welcome. And I want to thank you all for your willingness to serve and to stick with it. It's not a really busy committee, but it's an important committee. And like I said, just want to say thank you. So we'll start. We don't have any minutes. It's been so long. The minutes that we have probably is so obsolete, it doesn't make sense to even worry about them. But let's start with the classification of the new assessor data collection position. Julie or Becca, who would like to start with that?
Yeah, I'll get us started. So
Okay.
Thank you, Virginia. And just before I get into it, I just want to express my appreciation for everyone's flexibility in scheduling tonight's meeting. I know it was tough to get in. We don't typically meet at 8 p.m. So don't think that we typically have meetings this late. We just had to work around some scheduling issues. And like Virginia said, we've got a timeline to meet for our May 1st town meeting coming up. So thank you again for being flexible. So tonight, like Virginia said, we are before you asking the Personnel Board to consider the classification of a new position in the assessor's office, the data collector position. So before I dive into that, I just want to talk really briefly, because we have a few new people, about the board just in general. I'm not going to go on for a long time, just going to give a couple sentences so you guys can sort of get a feel for your role and sort of what this process would look like typically. So the Personnel Board is established by the town bylaw. Okay, it's a 6-member board appointed by the town moderator. And the purpose, really, the most important purpose and the thing that you'll find yourself doing most often is review and approval of the classification and compensation plan and any changes that are included therein. So the classification and compensation plan is really just a list of all of our positions that we have in town. And each position is graded based on the duties and responsibilities of that position. And then with that grade, there is an associated compensation that goes along with it. I sent out the classification manual to you all, so you all have that book. It's pretty lengthy, but just briefly, that's sort of the guide that we use to do the analysis to determine where in the classification plan a certain position would fall. And we go through those questions and we answer them really based on the draft job description that includes the duties and responsibilities of the position. So that's sort of really briefly the process that we go through. And then we would come to you, and like we're going to do tonight, we're going to review the steps that we've taken, and we're going to ask for your support in either changing or creating a new position. So that's sort of really briefly like the 2-second overview of what you guys can expect. Obviously, you know, as we meet more, you guys have questions about the manual, things will come up. We can always talk offline. We can have deeper discussions about it in the meeting, but that's sort of just an overview of, you know, your role and responsibility as a member of the Personnel Board. So that being said, I'm going to sort of switch gears a little bit, and I'm going to jump into the assessor's position because Jason is unfortunately still in the office and I would like him to go home. So I'll try to make this as short and sweet as we can. So the process of the sort of reorganization of the assessor's office really started over a year ago, maybe more. And at that time, we were looking at sort of a more modern approach to the office itself, the way the duties were spread out throughout the office, and really just the organization of the office in general. Initially, we were hoping to implement those changes last year. Due to some staff turnover and the onset of the pandemic, things just never really materialized. So that's why we're here before you now. Julie's been in her new role for a while now. Jason has been offering support, and now that I'm here, it just feels like the right time to try to make the change. So the current organization of the assessor's office is that there's a principal assessor, Julie Brownlee. There are 2 assessor's assistants who are, they have the same exact job description. They're both members of the union, and they both have the same grade, the same classification of their position. And their role is largely administrative in nature. They're in the office all the time. They answer the phones, they answer questions, help people fill out forms, etc. Julie can answer more specific questions, but that's sort of the general idea. And then we have members of the Board of Assessors. Those folks are classified as assessors under the classification plan, but they typically, they're not full-time employees. They're budgeted at 10 hours a week. And oftentimes they have full-time jobs elsewhere. Sometimes they are principal assessors in other communities. Maybe they work for the DOR, the Department of Revenue, but they have other full-time responsibilities, and they sort of do this as a service or, you know, to give back in some way. And what's happened over time is that commitments and scheduling issues, and it's just been more and more difficult to get regular hours out of those folks because they have other commitments. And so a lot of I don't want to say burden, that's not the right word, but a lot of their role has sort of fallen into the office and had to be picked up by other people in the office. So we don't want to lose that knowledge base of those people, those board members, because it's really important for the policy making oversight of the Board of Assessors to provide, important support to Julie in making sure that values are being certified on a timely basis, that, tax classification, that whole process is, it can be complicated. And if you're not in the world, it's hard to really grasp. So we don't want to lose that professional oversight, but we need more regular oversight and scheduling of the actual duties of the field inspector portion of the job. It's a really important piece of the job where people are actually going out into the field. They're looking at residential or commercial buildings, and they're assessing them for value. And then they're coming back and they're doing data entry, and they're working with Julie, making sure that the values make sense against the market. So we need that. We need that structure. It's important. But like I said, we don't want to lose that knowledge base. So to achieve
many
this and
assessors
sort of
are
bring
there
it all together. Sorry, Virginia, did you say something?
I was asking, how many are there members on the Board of Assessors? How many people?
There's
There are
three
three.
people. Yeah, go ahead. Jason.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's okay.
There's three board members, Virginia. One in practice has always been the principal assessor. So it's a principal assessor, and then generally it's been the two experienced part-time assessors. And all of these positions include the word assessor in it, so it can get a little confusing, but it's the position that we're talking about moving back from are the more experienced, higher graded, generally retirees that have been working in the assessor's position. And like Becca has been saying so well and laid out nicely in the memo, our experience has been that their time has been less and less available as we've gone along. So getting the work done that is in their job description has been hard to accomplish. Basically, they are the board members, and we want them to kind of move toward just providing advice and attending board meetings and making the Board of Assessors decisions.
Marcia, thank you, Jason.
I'm
Marcia,
sorry, I
you had a
missed
question?
it. Yes, how many board members are there that have currently 10 hours per week? Like, how
Currently,
many of them
there's
are
two.
there?
There's two board members.
Okay.
In addition to Julie, who's also, as principal assessor, she's one of the board members.
Okay.
So
And we're looking to add one full-time equivalent to the office?
Actually, what we're talking about doing is reducing the FTEs or full-time equivalents of the office by assigning some of the work that was previously assigned to the board members to one of the office workers in this new position. So this position would become, so to speak, a hybrid position between the administrative help and the more experienced board members.
So,
But they would not be a board member themselves. I hope that was clear.
Yeah, at the beginning, I said there were 2 assessor's assistants and 1 full-time principal assessor. Okay, so right now, one of those assessor's assistants is vacant. That position is vacant. So
Okay.
what we're proposing to do is basically not fill that second assessor's assistant, create this new position, data collector, that is sort of a hybrid between the part-time people and the assessor's assistant. So there'll still be 3 full-time people in the office.
Okay, but the
You
titles then
mentioned that-
would be the principal assessor, the data collector, and an administrative assistant.
Yes.
Okay.
That's-
Can you do that? Can you do it that if those 2 roles are union represented folks, like, is there going to be an issue with that? Because
That's it.
I don't know much about how
No,
the
that's
town
it.
works, but
It's a great
Good
question.
question, yeah.
Yeah, So we are proposing that this new position will be a unionized position. And it's a higher graded position, so it's a higher pay. So there will be no issue with the union though. They always want, higher paid positions. They're not losing a position, they're not losing a person or anything. They're just getting a person that's going to be paid in a higher grade than the previous person was.
But we're gonna be locked in like forever and ever if we do that, right? Make it a
Yes,
higher
it will
grade.
remain,
Yes.
yeah, it will remain in
Okay.
the union. Yep. It'll be a permanent fixture. And that's actually by law. It's if it's a non-exempt position, if it's not a salaried position, if it's an hourly position, then it automatically becomes a union position. And that's just the town bylaw.
Okay.
Okay. That's a great question.
Can you send me a copy of that portion, or if it's not like a big manual, or I would love to read that particular, read up more about the represented,
Yeah.
because
So
it sounds like it might,
yeah,
I don't
think-
need it this moment or anything, but it would be
No,
a good
I
topic
will,
for me.
I'll just say that all of our union contracts are up on our website. So I will send you the link and you can go take a look at that anytime you'd like.
That'll work.
I'll do that. Okay. So just bringing it back. So those were all great questions. So essentially, now that we understand sort of how the structure is going to work, we went through the process of classifying the position. So that's using that classification manual that you all got and taking our draft job description and sort of just going through it question by question, grading it. And then that grade, the number that you get at the end of the day, determines where in the classification range the position falls. In this case, it happened to fall under Class D. When we took a look at it, surrounding communities that have similar positions in their organizational structure, we found that the Class D range really does fit pretty closely to the range of those positions in other communities. So we felt like, we did a fairly objective job in carrying out the classification process. So that's sort of where you get the salary range and the classification for the position. So, overall, I think we're sort of looking to take a more modernized approach to the process while still retaining that important sort of institutional knowledge that we have with our board members, because we do still want them to be involved. We do still want to take advantage of their experience in the field. So we want to keep them on as board members. But we are looking to sort of move those field duties into those full-time permanent positions. So we have a little bit more stability and a little bit more dependability in terms of the hours and the work that's done. So that's sort of the overview and the proposal, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys have.
So are there questions on the evaluation? Or we can take either question. Any questions on the proposal? I think it's very clear on the proposals. My question, I guess, would be, have you looked at the assessment and are you comfortable with the assessment?
Yeah, you're speaking to the classification itself, where it falls? Yeah, so we, when we go through this process, it's important that it's not just one person doing the assessment, because there is some level of subjectivity that comes along with answering a lot of these questions. So it's important to have more than one set of eyes on the draft job description and sort of how that interpretation is translated into the classification. It's really important that you're not just doing that. It's not just one person. You need to have discussions about it. You need to talk it through. So Julie, Jason, and I have, we went through this process. We had many iterations of job descriptions, position titles. We did multiple classification analyses on those job descriptions. And sort of eventually we all got to the place where we felt like this is where we wanted to be. So I don't want you to think it's just like a one and done, here's the description, one person did the analysis and this is what we came with. It's a process. So
No,
To answer your
understood,
question,
but
yes.
I want the committee to take a look and give feedback on it. Did you all look at this? And Chuck, you usually have questions. Any questions on this?
Well, to be truthful, I was wondering, since we went through this whole reclassification stuff, it seems like many moons ago, but when you're talking about the reclassification plan and answering these questions, is this from the new stuff, or is this from our old way that we were doing it? I'm a little.
It's a good question. So it is from the old manual.
Okay.
It's from the original Stone Consulting 2005 manual. And I know that this committee embarked on a process to update that manual and that process. And I'm happy to have a brief discussion with the committee at the end if we want to touch on sort of the direction we're headed in. But yeah, this classification was conducted on the old manual.
Okay.
We do want to have the discussion on the new one at the end of this.
Yeah.
But thank you for that, Chuck. did you
Yeah, I
have
just
something
wanted
else?
to. Yeah, no, I'm fine. I don't have a problem with
Okay.
it.
Okay, anyone else?
Good
No?
meeting.
I haven't seen the job description, but what I'm wondering about, Becca had mentioned that there was some turnover in the office prior, and I'm wondering if it might be related at all to like pay or the classification. Did we not have the job description, be comparable to private sector? Because I don't know anything at this point, but retention is always something that I worry about in the corporate private world. So I'm hoping that we make it or design this job and job rec in such a way that this person will stay a long time and, accumulate a lot of knowledge and all the things that we count on the people who are in that part-time role, who are retirees for. It would be nice if that was a consideration. Like, is this role that enticing that this person's going to stay for a long time? And
Well,
it's comparable wage with the private sector.
if you
I don't
look
know.
at the salary survey that they put together, gave us, I can say, the salary is well above the average. So it's not it's a very attractive salary at this point.
That's good.
Northborough is always, well, not always, because I've been on the board for, I don't know, 20 something years.
Okay.
And there was a time when we were well behind the curve, but we've changed that whole structure, especially with the storm report going back a number of years now. And that's why we asked to take a look at all of that this past couple of years. So from a philosophical point of view on pay, we've always tended to be on the upper quadrant of pay. So,
Okay.
Someone wanting to leave to get a better job, that's going to happen here. As for being comparable to the private sector, a lot of the professional, semi-professional jobs, there's not a direct line going from these types of jobs to the private sector. A lot of skills, obviously, but if somebody wanted to become from an assistant assessor to a full assessor, it's the municipal world that they're going to be looking at. It's not the private sector.
Super, thank you very much.
Okay.
I think at this point, we need to have a motion to approve the job description and the position. So I will entertain a motion. Is that what you need, Becca? The approval of the job description and the position?
Yes.
I will
I make
entertain
a
a motion.
I make a motion to approve the job description of the data collector in the assessor's office. And I don't know, is that enough for a motion, or do I
Enough.
need more in there?
I second.
I'll entertain a second. Did you say second, Lisa?
I second.
Okay. Okay, so it's
I
been
second.
moved by, it was seconded by Lisa, I heard earlier.
Oh.
So it's moved by Chuck and seconded by Lisa that we accept the job description and the position, Chuck, for the data
Yeah.
collection.
Yeah,
Okay,
yes.
so any other discussion or any questions before we vote? Okay, hearing none, all in favor, show of hands, please. Okay, the motion is carried and the petition is approved. Thank you very much. Anything else?
Thank you.
Becca?
I do have,
Well, one question, do we need to say specifically grade D in this, or?
I mean, you've approved the position in the, if you want to vote to approve the classification, you can. I kind of, I assume by approving the position, you are also, in approval of the way it's been presented tonight. But if you all,
If you look at the job description, it says proposed D.
it does.
Yeah.
So it's covered
Well,
in the job description. Okay,
Well, I'd rather have it a little bit more
well then make the
specific.
motion, Chuck, please.
I'd say, the approved the job description of the principal of the whatever it is, data
Yeah.
collector at the grade D salary level within the town's personnel board classification plan.
So we already approved the description, so you want to say you want to approve
I just want to
the level?
approve the salary grade.
To
I
approve,
should have
okay.
added that. I should have
Okay.
added it in my original motion, sorry.
Okay,
Okay, I
so
second.
there's a separate motion to approve the salary grade at level D.
I second.
Correct.
Okay, seconded by Lisa. Any questions? Any discussion? Forget anything else, Chuck? Are we all set?
All set.
Okay, all in favor, let me see your hands. Okay. The motion is carried. So we've approved the description for the data collector at level D. Salary and the grade level. Okay, super. Jason, can you go home now? You make me feel bad.
Am I excused? Thanks for everybody's
You can-
questions and their thoughtfulness.
You really can stay if you want, but
Yeah. Anyway, thank you. Okay.
Thanks, Jason.
Super, thanks a lot. And so we have another item, and that's the collection classification. Oh, we did that. So it's to
Mhm.
increase the merit now.
We have one more thing, the approval
Yeah.
of the, okay. So we also are requesting the board consider approval of the non-union wage increases for FY 2022. So typically each year we will come before you right around this time and request that you approve the increases to the non-union wage schedule. Which I believe I included a copy. Yes, I included a copy in your packet. The non-union wage schedule increases are determined by the personnel bylaw. And written right into the bylaw is that all wage increases for non-union staff are determined by the average increase granted to union personnel. So the way that works is you take the average of the increase for all the unions together in that given fiscal year, you average that out, and whatever that number is what is granted to the non-union personnel. It's established by bylaw. It's for purposes of equity. It makes negotiating a lot easier. So for this fiscal year, the average increase for all the union contracts is 2%. So that is what the non-union compensation increase will be for FY 2022.
Okay, and we need to vote the 2%.
Correct.
Thank you. Any questions on that? Any
That's
questions?
the number.
Okay, if there are no questions, I would entertain a motion.
Some of the new guys want to do that, or
Okay, Lisa,
So I motion for the 2% increase
for non-union.
for non-union, sorry, for non-union labor.
Okay. Gigi, how about a second, please?
I second that motion.
Super, thank you. So it's been properly moved by Lisa, seconded by Gigi, that we approve the wage increase for non-union at 2%. Any questions? Any discussion?
any
All in favor?
union? Well, is there any unions not settled for this time period?
No, all the unions are settled for 2022. And they
Yeah.
will all be up for negotiating next year. So.
Okay,
well,
that's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Question.
In all in favor, we did not vote. I'd like to see hands. The motion is carried. Okay, super, thank you. Does that complete what you need?
It does.
Okay. Okay, so there are two things that we needed. One of the things, and Chuck alluded to this, Lisa and Chuck and I were on the committee when we hired a company to look at all the jobs in Northborough and to come up with classificate new job descriptions necessary, update them or whatever. There's a lot that happened. The person got sick, Kim moved on, and so a whole ton of work and resources, I guess, have just been there. And we've been waiting for you, Becca. So what's happening? Can we resurrect that? Whatever, you need to go, Julie? Or did you want to say something? You're muted.
Yeah, you don't have sound, Julie, but thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one now. Bye-bye. But anyway, so Becca,
Yes.
so what's happening with that?
Yes, so yeah, everything you said is true. I know that this committee embarked on that, classification and compensation study. You must have started in 2018 now. There were a number of circumstances between the beginning of the process and sort of where we are today that really just sort of derailed it. Things that were really just out of our control. The one good thing that did come out of that process is that the data that was collected at the time was used to settle the contracts in that contract year, which is valuable. And so now, as we sort of look at coming up on renegotiating this upcoming fiscal 22 for all the contracts, we really need to update the data that we have and sort of try to pull together the pieces that we have from the prior consultant and put them in a package that can really be presented to this board and ultimately can be acted upon if needed for any changes in classification, compensation, et cetera. So that process is likely going to begin this summer, fall, and it was sort of aligned with negotiating. John and I have had several conversations about sort of what that looks like, and we haven't really landed on an answer yet. We've tossed around the idea of bringing a new consultant on board because we cannot, we can't present what we have now. It needs more work, basically, and it needs another set of eyes. And so what is likely to happen is that we will come before this board again in the late summer is my best guess, with a request for your support and embarking on not starting over totally, but starting somewhere in the middle. I think is probably what's going to happen. It's our best option at this point.
Okay. Thank you. I will ask the committee if you have any questions. I think one of the things I will say, Becca, is that we really, there was a hard time getting a consultant. We did not get, I don't know if it was the way the RFP was written or what, but it was, we didn't get a lot of A players for a response, I would say, to the original RFP. And so that may have been why the work sort of suffered. But anyway, so maybe with the pandemic and things, the way things are with industry or something, there may be a consultant, or we may need to pay a little bit more to get a better quality consultant. Marsha, I see your hand.
Is it possible for me to just, because I have a lot of free time, my kid doesn't need me anymore, to just take a look at what's there and parse through? And you mentioned the RFP may not have been the best last time. Could I just browse through at some point over the next few months and just figure out like where it fell short, and so we can be more specific with what our needs are?
Yeah, I'm more than happy to share the RFP with you and would welcome your input for sure. With respect to the work that's been completed, not a lot has been completed. It's really a bunch of job descriptions in draft form with comments and edits on them from employees, from the consultant. And what really needed to happen is that there needed to be at least 1 or 2 more meetings between the consultant, employees, and administration. And because of the turnover and the pandemic, those meetings just didn't happen. So I don't really have anything to give you, because it won't make any sense, and it's not anything that's near final form. And so I don't want to send you something that's totally.
Oh no, that's not my expectation.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Okay.
But I'm happy to share the RFP with you. More than happy. In Virginia, you're right. There's not a lot of people who do this work. And there are a few other, like I know that the Collins Center out of UMass does this work. They tend to be on the pricier side, but we may have to consider those things if we're gonna look at, starting over.
I guess my question is, we're talking around the consultant. I have no idea what happened to the consultant. I don't know, has he been paid all of the money that he contracted for and we contracted to him for? Why can't we bring him back and get the job done? Because that's what we hired him to do. Or do we want him to come back?
Yeah, I think that's the question. is that there was some concern with the quality, and so I would hesitate to bring him back in. I know that John would also hesitate to bring him back in. I think we need a fresh set of eyes. We need a different group.
We need a stronger person to come and take a look at it. Chuck, it's a lot just happened. He got sick at one point, and he was using his son or something like that. But the real bottom line is it didn't get done. And so I think, I trust, and Marsha, I will just say, I trust Becca. Becca's new. She's had a chance to look at it. Becca, why don't you take a look at the RFP and take a look at the work and, maybe tell us if you need our help and all. But I do think that in fairness to the employees, we really need to do that because, we had them all psyched up. We were sending emails and telling them we were doing this and everything like that. And then it just went down the tubes. So that could be our next meeting to sort of take a look at where we are with that.
Yeah, I've said it a number of times, wondering, what's happened to the whole project. It was something that I've been involved with pretty much from the beginning and really kind of lost track of it all. So, I'd really like to be involved in this process, so I understand, what we're getting and who we're getting it from.
We will all be involved, Chuck. I think the only ones who, I think Becca and the two new people were not involved. Lisa, you and
Yeah,
I
no, I
were
understand.
involved. And so going forward, we all will be involved, and we're asking Becca if she will take the sword and bring us back together to make it happen.
Sounds good.
Okay. Okay, any other things that we need? So we probably will have another meeting. I would say after town meeting, Becca, let's sort of schedule one after that to see where we are and see what's happening. And as you're welcome to come. You're always invited to a town meeting. You don't have to come. I have to go, but feel free to come if you want to see it. We will report out at town meeting what we've done. So
Well,
any
we
questions?
can get rid of that have to by, not electing you chairman again. So, yeah.
No, that's
I
not how you
don't
get
think
me
your-
out. That's
I
that's
don't think
not
your
how you get
husband
me
will
out,
go
Chuck.
along with.
Chuck, that's not how you get me out. How you get me out is not having a moderator for a husband.
Yeah, I was just gonna say,
Yeah.
minor
I'm
point.
in.
We were
in.
trying to
Any
give
other
you.
comments? Any other questions or comments?
So quick question. So for the reboot of the job description project, right? Is that part of the budget request for FY22 already? Like, have we built that into what we're asking for?
There are funds available for us to embark on the process again. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Good question, Lisa. Anything else? Anything, Becca, do you need anything else from us?
I have one other, I just want to let the board, I know you touched on this, Virginia, but I do, just to be clear, this group will have to have another meeting in the next, I don't know, 2 months, 2.5 months or so to consider the reclassification of a position. It's being requested by the employee. So occasionally, per the personnel bylaw, employees can request review of their position. This is the board that review would come before. And so we do have one employee who would like you to consider a reclassification. I don't have a date yet. She is out on a personal matter for an undetermined period of time. So as soon as I know more about when she's returning, we'll work to schedule that meeting. But in the meantime, I'm going to send you all a little bit of background information on the request so that you guys can do your homework, so to speak. And if you have questions, you can always call me and we can talk about it before the meeting. But I just wanted to let you know that's coming.
And they may also call me because I have been involved with Becca on the issue as well. So feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to try to do that as soon after the town meeting as possible because the request is about 6 months old or older. So we need to do that. Any other comments? And thank you for that, Becca. Any other comments? Okay, well, you're stuck with me, Chuck, and I appreciate it.
And you're stuck with me.
I know it. I'll entertain a motion for adjournment at this time, please.
I motion for
Make a
adjournment.
motion. Second.
Okay, second, it's been properly moved and seconded that we adjourn. Any questions?
No.
Any discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
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 The motion is carried.